Today, in the explanation of the French Revolution, I will go through a simple example of a debate round. At the start of each round, an event card is going to be revealed. That event will tell which side the march favor. In that instance, the march favor the left. Next, the player has the opportunity to spend influence in order to trigger that event, which has a cost of 2 influence to be triggered. So either the left player decides to trigger that event, which is the estates unite. It gives the president of the assembly to any player. The left will choose and place 3 left support, then 3 center support, and 3 right support in the France display. So Robespierre goes ahead and spends 2 influence. Oops. I forgot that he must have 5 influence at the start of the game. So I will give him 3. Let's pretend you haven't seen anything. So having the president of the assembly is a huge deal, because you can choose which agenda are gonna be voted during their turn, and you may adjourn the active agenda, which make him debate one more turn, and also you will break all voting time. So he gives that to himself, and Roederer is gonna be president of the assembly. As you can see, the tile is designed to hide the debate effect, so it prevents Roederer to participate in the debates. Next, on the effect, he can place 3 left support on the map. So we will take 3 supports marker and place them into some regions on the map. I will explain in another video what does that do. So for the moment, we will ignore the rest, because it will have no effect on the debate. So after having implemented the event, the player might give an agenda to be voted upon. The left player wants to submit the rights of man. The other player decide not to submit any agenda because they find that one interesting to be voted upon. Why? Because instead of giving 1 VP at the end of the debate, it will give the winner 4 VP, which is the highest. Also, that is a special agenda. As you can see in the black blocks next to the effect of that agenda, if the blue player or the center player has at least 10 votes, that effect will trigger. Also, if the blue player has 20 or more votes, that effect will also trigger. And if the left player has 20 or more, that effect will also trigger. And lastly, this agenda may be voted once per year. So that is to be noted. The next thing the player needs to do is to see if the agenda supersedes the player order, and it does. It gives the favor to the right center. So right now, the right side has 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 40 votes, which is a huge deal. So next, the player must commit statement to the debate. The right only has Mounier, so they will commit Mounier to the debate. The left decide to commit Mirabeau and Lameth. And finally, the left commit Robespierre to the debate. And once everyone is happy with his commitment, each statement we speak in the assembly, starting with the right speaker, which is Mounier. Mounier will decide to shift cubes towards his side. So he will move 3 deputies from the march to the right zone, and then he will pay 1 influence to exchange a deputy for this club with his recruit action. He does not wish to shift towards the march, so he does not. Next, the center player. The center player, which is also supposed to have 3 influence, 5 influence. Sorry, again, no, not the bag. Here and here. Will speak. He decides to have Mirabeau speak first. So Mirabeau will shift towards his side 5 deputies. That raises total to 5 and reduce the right to 35. Next, he will pay 1 influence and he will exchange one of those deputies for a club. And finally, he may sway 3 other deputies, which he will do again from the marsh. That makes him to 8 deputies. But there is a trick. Statesmen always can spend influence alongside their debate action. And what does that do? It ends those actions. So Mirabeau will spend 2 other influence to move 2 other deputies towards his zone and reach 10 deputies, which will allow his party to trigger the first part of the agenda. So 2 more deputies. 10, 33. Next up, the left. Robespierre will speak. So he will shift 5 deputies towards his side. Give him 5 votes and reduce to 28, the right. He will then pay 1 influence out of the 3 he has left to exchange this one to a club. And finally, he will polarize his section. He rolled a 5, which is not enough to succeed, but he can spend 1 influence to reduce his die roll by 1. So he succeeds in the end. That concludes his speech. Back to the right, nobody speaks. The left, the center, Lameth is still up to speak. He can shift towards the marsh or sway. He does not want to sway toward the march because that will give vote to the right. So he will sway two deputies toward his leader's faction. So that gives 2 more votes and reduce it to 26. That will end the debates since nobody else is committed. So the assembly will vote. The right still has the most vote, so they win the debate and get 4 victory points. However, the center has more than 10 votes, so that effect will take place, which state that before elections, each player will receive 10 influence. So that's good for everybody. And that resumes all the debate sequence. You might ask, well, the march is pretty killer since it gives tons of vote, but here's the trick. After each debate, the disc will stay there, and the deputy will not move back to the march until the end of the turn, and there is 4 debate rounds per turn. So the next time, the player will start with that situation. 26 votes against 12 against 5. And lastly, before going to the next round, each player may refresh one of their statesmen for free and another paying 1 influence. So they are all set for the next debate round. In that next debate round, players will take another agenda, which places the red player in favor of the march. Oh, you see, that drastically changed the situation. So that gives a total of 3 votes to the right player, and 5 plus 4, 12, 15, 20, 25 votes. They can also spend influence to activate the event, but they do not have enough influence to do so. So they will skip that part. Next up, the left player wishes to implement that agenda. It is different from the previous agenda, as this agenda is a competitive one. So only one player will have its effect implemented, and it must be the winner of the debate. So for ease of play, each effect that is beneficial for a player is of the same color. So players will go to the same debate action, committing statement, and then implementing their speech or debate effect within the assembly. After that, we check the vote and give the victory point associated with the card to that player, and we implement the effect corresponding to the colors player. And that's it. That's how the debate are conducted.